Marriage is built on trust, loyalty, and commitment. At least, that's what I thought before my wife, Madison, shattered everything. It started as a normal evening. We were sitting on the couch after dinner, a glass of wine in her hand, watching some Netflix show that I had already lost interest in. Madison looked at me, her eyes filled with a strange intensity, as if she had been holding something back for a long time. She put her glass down and took a deep breath. "Ethan, I need to talk to you about something important." I turned to her, already sensing the weight in her voice. "Sure, babe. What's on your mind?" She hesitated for a second, then smiled, a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "I've been thinking a lot about our relationship, and I feel like maybe we should try something new, to spice things up." I frowned. "What do you mean?" She tucked her hair behind her ear, clearly nervous, but excited. "I want to try an open marriage." The words hit me like a punch to the gut. I blinked, convinced I had misheard her. "You... what?" Her hands reached for mine. "I love you, Ethan. I really do. But I think opening our marriage could be healthy for us. We could explore things separately while still being together. It's just physical, nothing emotional. I promise you." I stared at her, my chest tightening. My mind was racing, trying to process what she was saying. This was the woman I had spent 8 years of my life with, the woman I had built a home with, dreamed of a future with. And now she was asking for permission to sleep with other men. A slow, burning anger started rising inside me, but I forced myself to stay calm. I leaned back, my voice quiet but firm. "Is there already someone else?" Her face twitched, but she quickly recovered. No, of course not. This is just something I've been thinking about. I've read a lot about it and—" I cut her off. "Madison, tell me the truth." She bit her lip. A second of hesitation. And then the truth spilled out. "Okay. Yes, there's someone I'm interested in." Boom. The words landed like a bomb, setting my world on fire. She wasn't asking for an open marriage. She was already cheating. I took a slow breath, keeping my face neutral. I wasn't going to argue. I wasn't going to beg. Instead, I was going to play this smart. "You know what, Madison?" I said, forcing a smile. "That's an interesting idea. Let me think about it." Her face lit up with relief. She had no idea what was coming next, because this wasn't going to end the way she expected. I was about to turn this into the biggest mistake of her life. Madison was the love of my life. I still remember the first time I saw her. It was 9 years ago, back when I was working as a high school teacher. My days were spent grading papers, managing classrooms, and trying to keep a bunch of teenagers from losing their minds before the final bell rang. One morning, I noticed a young woman pulling up outside the school gates in a blue sedan. She stepped out, adjusting her jacket, her auburn hair catching the morning sunlight. She had this natural confidence about her, the kind that turned heads without even trying. She was dropping off her younger brother Liam, who was a student in my class. At first it was nothing, just polite nods and quick smiles exchanged in passing, but over the next few weeks we started noticing each other more. The way our eyes met lingered a little longer each time, the way she smiled a little wider when I waved. One day, after school, Liam had forgotten his notebook in class. I was about to lock up when I saw her jogging toward me, out of breath. "Hey, Mr. Ethan, sorry to bother you, but my little brother forgot his stuff." I chuckled, unlocking the door. "No worries, and please, call me Ethan." She followed me inside, her gaze drifting around the empty classroom. "So you deal with these kids all day? I bet that's fun." I smirked. "It's a battle. Some days I win. Some days they do." She laughed, and something clicked. Right then and there, I knew this woman was special. One conversation turned into two, then into coffee. then into late-night calls that stretched until morning. Before I knew it, I was falling, fast and deep. Liam, of course, was not amused when he found out. "Dude, dating my teacher? Really?" he had groaned. But even he saw how happy she made me. 2 years later, we were married. I remember the wedding like it was yesterday, the way she looked at me, the promises we made, the life we dreamed of building together. It was perfect. Until it wasn't. Because the same woman who once held my hand and vowed forever had now asked me for an open marriage. She had thrown away everything we built like it meant nothing. And now, I was about to make sure she regretted it. Madison thought she had me figured out. She thought I was processing her request, maybe even considering it. She had no idea that in my mind, our marriage was already over. But I wasn't going to walk away quietly. No, I was going to make her sweat. The next morning, I got up earlier than usual. Madison was still in bed, scrolling through her phone, probably texting her new interest. I walked into the kitchen and started making coffee like nothing had changed. She walked in a few minutes later, stretching lazily. "Morning." I smiled too easily. "Morning, babe. Sleep well?" She nodded, watching me carefully. "Yeah. You?" I stirred my coffee. "Yeah, had a lot on my mind. You gave me a lot to think about." Her lips twitched slightly, her confidence returning. "I know it's a big idea, but if we do this right, it could be really good for us." I took a slow sip, letting her words sit in the air. Then I chuckled, just enough to make her second-guess herself. "You know what's crazy, Madison? I was thinking about it all night, and I think you're right." She blinked. "Wait, really?" I leaned against the counter, smirking just enough to make her nervous. "Yeah, I mean, why should I limit myself to just one person, right?" I could see the slight shift in her expression. She had expected guilt, sadness, hesitation. Not this. "I knew you'd understand," she said, but her voice had lost a little confidence. I pretended not to notice. Instead, I grabbed my phone and started texting. She frowned. "Who are you texting?" I looked up, smirking. "Oh, just someone I've been interested in for a while." Her entire body stiffened. Her eyes darted to my phone, but I put it down before she could see the screen. I took another sip of coffee. "So do we set ground rules? Or do we just do whatever we want?" She forced a smile, but her fingers tightened around her mug. "I mean, yeah, we should talk about boundaries," she said carefully. "Who is she? Hook, line, sinker?" I shrugged. "Does it matter? You said this is just physical, right?" She was visibly uncomfortable now. "I mean, yeah, but I just didn't think you'd already be talking to someone." I tilted my head, studying her. "Why not?" "You did." Her face twitched. She quickly masked it, but I saw it. Doubt. She wanted me to be broken, weak, hurt. Instead, I was smirking, teasing, enjoying every second of her discomfort. She wanted freedom, but only if I was still standing in the corner waiting for her. Too bad for her, that wasn't happening. I set my coffee down and leaned closer, my voice dropping just enough to make her uneasy. "You know what, Madison?" I whispered. "This might be fun after all." I turned and walked away, leaving her standing there, stunned, confused, and suddenly not so sure about her brilliant idea. And that was just the beginning. Madison was already on edge. The confidence she had when she first suggested an open marriage was starting to crack. But now it was time for me to move in for the kill. If I was going to destroy her, I needed proof. For the next few days, I played the part of the understanding husband. I acted normal, even affectionate, like I was still considering her proposal. And Madison? She took the bait. She became bolder, spending more time on her phone, leaving the house at odd hours. I knew she was seeing him, but I needed undeniable evidence. So I started planning. One evening, while Madison was out, I went through her laptop and phone. I had no shame about it. She lost the right to privacy when she decided to betray me. It didn't take long to find everything I needed. Explicit messages between her and her interest, whose name I finally learned, Ryan. Plans to meet at a hotel. Can't wait to see you again, baby. A hidden photo album on her phone filled with their pictures. I took screenshots of everything, text messages, dates, locations. I even downloaded her emails where she was making excuses to leave work early. And then, I did something even smarter. I found the hotel reservation in her texts. It was this Friday night. So I called the hotel before she could. "Hi, this is Ryan. I need to make sure our suite is ready for Friday night." The receptionist confirmed the reservation. Suite 407. Perfect. I booked a room right across the hall. I wasn't going to confront her alone. That would be a waste. No, this needed an audience. So I reached out to her parents. Her mum adored me. She always told me how lucky Madison was to have a faithful and hard-working husband. I called her and said, "I need you and Mr. Carter to come to the Grand View Hotel on Friday at 8 p.m. I need you to see something for yourselves." She was confused, but she agreed. Then I called Ryan's girlfriend. Yep. He wasn't single. Her name was Samantha, and when I told her what was going on, she was furious. "That bastard! I knew something was off," she snapped. "I'll be there." Now, everything was in place. Madison and Ryan had no idea that when they checked into their romantic getaway, they were actually walking into a nightmare. I could already imagine her face when she realized what was happening, and by then it would be too late. Friday night arrived. I sat in my hotel room directly across from Suite 407, watching the hallway through the small peephole. At exactly 7:45 p.m., I saw Madison step out of the elevator. She was dressed up, hair curled, a tight red dress, the kind she never wore for me anymore. She checked her phone, smiling. She was texting him. A few minutes later, Ryan showed up, smug, confident, completely unaware that he was walking into the biggest mistake of his life. They met outside the door, and right there, in the middle of the hallway, Madison grabbed his face and kissed him. I clenched my jaw, forcing myself to stay calm. Just a few more minutes. At 8 p.m. sharp, I got a text from Madison's mum. "We're here. What's happening?" I replied. "Come to the 4th floor. You'll see." I stepped out of my room and saw them just as they reached the top of the stairs, her parents, confused, and Ryan's girlfriend Samantha, looking furious. Showtime. I smiled. "Follow me." We walked to Suite 407. I knocked once. No answer. I knocked again, harder this time. Still nothing. So I pulled out the master key card I had sweet-talked the hotel staff into giving me earlier and swiped it. The door clicked open, and there they were. Ryan was shirtless, standing near the bed. Madison was sitting on the edge, her heels already off. The second they saw us, their faces drained of color. "What the hell?" Madison shrieked, scrambling to her feet. Her mother's hand flew to her mouth. "Madison, is this some kind of joke?" Samantha stormed past me, straight toward Ryan. "You lying piece of trash!" she yelled, grabbing his phone off the nightstand and hurling it at him. Ryan flinched, stammering. "Babe, it's not what it looks like," I laughed. "Oh, it's exactly what it looks like." I turned to Madison, my voice cold as ice. "So tell them, sweetheart. Tell your parents how you asked me for an open marriage so you could sleep with him." Madison's lips parted, but no words came out. She was frozen. Her dad, who had always treated me like a son, looked at her like he didn't recognize her. Madison, after everything Ethan has done for you?" His voice was low, disappointed. Her mother, on the other hand, burst into tears. "How could you?" Madison started panicking. "Mom, Dad, listen, I can explain. It's not that serious." "Not that serious?" Samantha scoffed. "Are you kidding me right now? You've been sneaking around for months." That's when I pulled out my phone. And I have proof. I turned on the screen and scrolled through the messages, the texts, the pictures, the hotel reservations. Everything was there. I showed it to her parents first. Her mother shook her head in disgust. "Madison, you're disgusting. You make me sick." Then I turned to Ryan. "And you?" I smirked. "Your boss will be seeing this soon. Have fun explaining that." Ryan's face turned pale. "You wouldn't?" I raised an eyebrow. "Wouldn't I?" He lunged at me, but before he could do anything, Samantha slapped him across the face, hard. I grabbed my wedding ring, pulled it off, and tossed it onto the bed. "You wanted an open marriage, Madison?" My voice was calm, controlled. "You got it. You're free now." Then I turned around and walked out, without looking back. It's been 6 months since that night. Madison tried to reach out a few times, but I ignored her. Her parents cut her off completely, ashamed of what she had done. Ryan? He lost his girlfriend, his job, and his reputation. And me? I walked away with my dignity intact, my head held high. Because the truth is, sometimes the best revenge isn't destroying someone. It's letting them destroy themselves. And Madison? She was left with nothing.